Hi, I was just calling to make sure you got it. Good evening.
Yes, I do. I do have it, Gabby. Are you on or no?
I'm about to go on, so I'm waiting on you to accept you into the room.
Oh, you're waiting on me to
Uh,
do the
right,
put it. Okay.
right. For me to
Give me
accept you into the room.
a few more minutes. Give
Good,
me
good, no
a
problem.
few minutes, please.
Uh huh,
All right.
no problem. Okay, it looks like I'm on. Good night, good evening, or good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon to whichever part of the world you are. This is Dr. Matthews live and direct on the GMS Live, the voice of democracy. Good night to you, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to you all. Tonight's is Grassroots Night, where I have two of my fluent listeners on the show tonight who will be able to accept some calls and we can have a conversation on the grassroots level. And I'm doing this where every Friday night I'll be inviting two other persons that are my frequent listeners and those on the comment section to invite you in on this the GMS Live Voice of Democracy so you can have an input in our conversation or in the conversation here on this show. So I'm asking you to bear with me as my guests are coming in. And in the meantime, good night to you from Guyana to the Caribbean Isles, the West Indian Isles, the Pacific Isles, the British Virgin Isles, the US Virgin Isles, the Maldives, Mexico, the US, Canada, the UK, EU, China, Beijing, Hong Kong, Japan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. All the way from India, my frequent listener who normally calls me now and then, and she knows who she is. Welcome to this, the Gavin Matthews Show tonight. And to those who are listening at the Gavin Matthews Show, as far as from the Australian continent, in Tasmania, Australia, and also Melbourne, Australia, as far as New Zealand Isles and the Tonga Isles, the African continent, as far as all the countries in the African continent, South and North Sudan, South Africa, and these are the places that it will normally comes in. As far as where do I forgot? I think I forgot to mention Greenland and Iceland. Yes, the Guyanese who are living all the way in that country, in those two little places that are isles, but they are like they love to be called Greenland and Iceland. Uh, there are some persons who reach out to us, who reach out to the Gavin Matthews Show, especially from uh, places in the same African continent, but I don't know why they call it the Middle East because it's not. It's Africa, you know. So I'm going to mention the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, and I'm going to talk up to the persons who are from Egypt, which is part of Africa. So I don't know why people say the Middle East. There's no Middle East. It's people who colonize the place try to call it Middle East, but it's not. So we're not in for the colonizers tonight. We're here to recognize what part of the world you're from. And as a matter of fact, it's not even Africa. It is the continent of, how should I put it over? Hmm. I may say the African continent indeed, because if I call it another name, it might confuse a lot of persons. You know, it might confuse a lot of persons. But to me, it's the continent of Kush. And before Cushites, they were the Nubians, they were the Ethiopians, and all these places that ruled that continent over a period of years before they were Egypt and Egypt. And they're all, how should I put it over? They're all European words, as a matter of fact. They're words that came out from Europe, like the book of Matthew and Mark and Luke and John. They were all renamed, they were given that European dialect. So, welcome to you all from that part of the world, those who are joining us from the South American continent. Uh, the as far away as Argentina to Chile, to as far away as Venezuela and Colombia and Brazil, Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, in the Amazona, where they have a lot of Guyanese living there, in a place that you call Rio Negro and Recife and Boa Vista and Bonfim, Boa Noite, Boa Tarde, Minha Amigos, who are looking at the GMS Live, the Voice of Democracy. Yes, and to those who are looking, I know a thing of two of Portuguese. And to those who are looking at us from Suriname, and the Dutch and French Guyana, and to those who are looking at us from the Netherlands, and they're all the same, and places like Curacao and Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados, who love to be recognized. Good night or good evening to you all. Welcome to this The Gavin Matthews Show once again, and I appreciate that that appreciation. So before further ado, I must have to say a few things before I invite my guests tonight. And let me make sure that I'm being heard. Good evening to you. Are you hearing me, Miss Freeze?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Well, I am going to mute you for a while, for 2 minutes, and then I'll bring you in because I must have to use the best of my ability to tear up the de facto administration before I allow you on. Right?
That's all right.
Give me
That's all
two
right,
minutes, and
Gavin.
I'll invite you in. Yes. So we have one of our hardcore supporters and listeners who would normally add themselves in on this The Gavin Matthews Show, and I'm fired up tonight. But we must got to understand that to those who are looking, this is a de facto regime. It's illegal, it's illicit, it's murderous, it's racial. We have a dunce as a president. I don't understand. And then we got the third term of the vice criminal, which is Jack Dio, who's enjoying his third term. And these are the things that I intend not to, accept. I don't care which opposition member accept him. You best don't talk to that man, right? So by no further ado, I'm going to invite my first guest who's on the show tonight, and I'm willing to have her speak. And please don't hesitate. You can call in if you want, so we can have you as part of the conversation so we can converse. It's the grassroots talks where they're invited to come on, choose a topic of their own, and Gavin Matthews, being not all that well informed, but being informed, can be able to participate in this conversation. So without no further ado, let me invite my first guest. Good evening to you, Betsy Freeze.
Good night.
Hello.
Good night, Gavin. Good night. You hearing me?
Good night to you. And how are you this evening?
I am well. Thank you.
Okay, I'm happy to hear. So without no further ado, invite yourself and let's fire away at the topic of your choice. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Gavin, thank you so much. And I must thank you so much. You are I'm going to continue to do this. You are the strength of Guyanese. You are the power. This is what Guyanese want. It really, really touches my heart to see the amount of work that you're putting in. And you're not getting a cent for it. But I know you're getting a lot of blessings. So keep up the good work. My topic, which is very, very dear to me, it hurts because I never thought that Guyana would have been in a position where the world and Guyanese see around the world, where international people or countries that other small or developing countries look up to would do such a thing to Guyana, overthrow a democratic elected government to install their choice, not the choice of the Guyanese people, their choice, just because the individual who was in power did not agree with what they wanted to do.
Okay.
We must not forget those words that came from Mr. Pompeo instructing Mr. Granger to move out the way. We must never forget that. And all participants or the people that participated, from the judges to the political mechanism that took that action on March 2nd, they should
Yes.
be held accountable. They should be held accountable for what they did. As I said a few weeks ago, this disrespect for the Guyanese constitution started when Mrs. Jagan threw the writ over her shoulders. Nobody took her to court for that. If you, Gavin, the small man, if you receive a summons from the court and you fling it on the floor or you hit it out of the bailiff hand, you'll be in trouble.
Oh,
He
yes. I
wasn't
might have been in
president.
jail until now.
Yes, I'm telling you. But our political leaders at that time didn't have the balls to file criminal charges, private citizen filing criminal charges against her at that time. And this is where we are today.
Exactly.
It's going to get from bad to worse if we do not. And this is a message to those who are running for political office, who are running for leader political offices. If this is not addressed, Guyanese might as well sign a petition for the Venezuelans to take Essequibo, because that's what we did. That is what was done to us on March the 2nd. You signed away your right because you went to a process, a democratic process, to elect a leader which would have been serving 5 years. But nobody listened. They took it from you. And this will not stop. It will not stop. We're going to have worse than this. if we don't watch ourselves, because Mr. Jagdeo, before this last election, he threatened. He threatened that
Yes, he threatened to
if he did
destabilize
not,
the country.
yes, he did. There are tapes that shows that he threatened if he did not get power, things will not be things will not be nice. That's what he said. Guys must not forget. We must not forget these things, and we need to hold these people accountable, from the judges to the
Yes.
ROs. People must not forget. I heard on a program last night where, imagine a foreigner, the guest that was on that program. Imagine he could come and tell us on national TV what happened to the ROs who did not sign off on those very important documents. Why are they not before the courts?
And so
Why
amazing.
are they not before the courts? Why are they trying, Guyanese, why are they trying, or they prosecuting Mr. Lowenfield and Mr. Mingo? Region 4 had no problems. Region 4 did not. I mean, the areas that were covered, where Mr. Mingo or around the general region, the East Coast had the problems. The 49 boxes did not come from Georgetown. Why are the ROs not before the courts? A foreigner had to sit out and tell us what's wrong with us. What is wrong with us? Instead of we're fighting for leadership position, and you cannot defend what is yours.
Yes.
It makes no sense.
You see, the thing is that, and then we are so quiet on the issue that nobody pinpoints these things. And then they're running around the place pretending that they are holier than ever and they're a bunch of criminals. Because you can imagine the RO disappear with the voters list, the book of Region 2.
Gavin,
and then he doesn't care. He automatically
lets it down. It's nonsensical. Okay, you want to charge the boss. You want to charge a boss, but he's the superior. What happened to the subordinates? They were trained, they were paid to do a job, and they did not do the job. They are supposed to be before the courts. What's wrong with us? And then we have the judges making decisions based on their belief, sir.
Of course. And not only that, I'm seeing that the acting chancellor of the judiciary, who's so upset with us, identifying these gray areas, as they so call it, of the judges, and then we're supposed to accept it as mistakes. Oh no, I don't care how overworked you are.
This is
a precious
unbelievable.
Case, just like just a precious case, so precious, like the what you call it again, the elections petition.
Yes.
You're going to sit there and tell a Guyanese like myself that Article 22 of the Representation of the People's Act gives the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission autonomy over the representatives.
Exactly. What does the Constitution say? What does the Constitution say?
I don't know which part of Article 22 that she was reading. Believe you me, I don't know which part of Article 22 that she was reading. It's appalling. That is why they had a case study. And you imagine, it's so disgraceful that they're taking Guyana's experience in 2020 elections, in 2020 elections. You understand? For a debate, because it has so many constitutional flaws. that when they put, because
Unbelievable.
you know, if I must say, when they have a case study done in any
Mm-hmm.
university, the government of the day takes it
Mm-hmm.
and try to finalize an economic governance out of it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what they do. That's how they craft legislations, because they take it
Right.
from the student's body and then they try to
Right.
adopt it to try to see how best they can arrange the laws around these young, crafted minds who are now studying to
Right.
be lawyers.
Right.
And they're
But,
so upset that when they
mm,
study our constitution, people don't understand this, you know. When you go to UE to study law, you don't only study Trinidad, Barbadian, and Jamaican law. You study Guyanese law.
you
You
study
study
Chinese law,
you
laws
study
of the
each
Caribbean.
everything
But
that's on the Caribbean, yes. And when they
correct.
try to make our country a case study, because we have had so many flaws, so many constitutional crimes that and I gotta say
Unbelievable.
we, it's unspeakable.
Unbelievable. You know,
And
something
these
Guyanese.
people that sit,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead, sorry. I'm a
I'm
one. You
sorry,
know, I
Gavin.
be fired up. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Guyanese has to remember. I mean, our population is not that big. We may not have a lot of lawyers or lawyers that are experienced in constitutional laws, but if we do not be careful, the part of our constitution which deals with elections, outside forces, people who are looking at this situation presently, I don't even know what happened, in the sense that we don't even know if Guyana still belongs to the Guyanese people. We don't know that.
No, no, we have a force down here that I want to discuss with you, and we can make it a part of a discussion. That force is that what you call the American Chambers of Commerce in
Yes,
Guyana. It's controlling our economy, sorry.
Gavin,
From
Gavin.
since from since these criminals, these private business people raise up, the American
Right.
Chambers of Commerce snatches them out to the air, saying, "Hey, what happened, boy? You got to show accountability for the monies that you get, how you accumulate to become such a lucrative businessman." That's the problem.
You know, you touch on a very, very ticklish spot. You see, all those lands or bricks or whatever you call it that they're giving out to foreign people. I'm just warning, Guyanese. I read an article in The Guardian that covers the Caribbean. I can't remember the individual who is a Guyanese. He wrote about the new order, or I think what is the new colonial order. If Guyana only sells a certain part of its land or give it away, Guyanese have to brace themselves, because parts of Guyana is already gone. If you get it back, it wouldn't worth anything. They're going to destroy everything. When you get it back, it's worth nothing.
Okay.
There's no value of it. This is why I'm upset with the APNU AFC correlation. Because even if you did not want to agree with what was put in front of you, you have to understand you have nothing. We have nothing to back up what you think that shouldn't happen. We have nothing. We don't have the army. We don't have technology. We have nothing. They'll still take it from you.
Understand?
They
You know,
acted unprofessional because this nonsense, the way the situation Ghana is in presently, could have been in a better situation where we were in control. Guyanese would have seen and know everything. Right now, you don't know nothing. You are the short-term
understand.
president. The short-term president is saying, I didn't hear anybody spoke on the program about it or any other program. He is saying they may have to import workers. There you go.
but people don't
Nearly
understand the reason why.
1,500 Guyanese fired, and he's
That's
importing people.
but you could imagine he don't understand. A lot of us don't understand the reason why he's saying so. But we have another caller online who's going to join us
Yes,
because I think
yes,
he hasn't really been able to get in via way the invitation. But we're going to continue
okay,
the conversation, right?
yes,
But what is
yes, yes.
happening?
Thank you. Hmm.
Our economy, our Guyanese people don't understand the reason why Mr. Jagdeo is saying so. Because he understands that the United States Chambers of Commerce is not allowing the local businessmen to participate in this oil
Exactly,
boom because
exactly.
90% of them are questionable characters. They can't
Uh,
show how or where they accumulate such
No,
wealth
no,
from.
no. Yeah, yes, Gavin, you got that
You
right.
understand?
You got
So
that right. You
just
got
hold
that
a minute
right.
as
But
I invite. Let's
good,
hold a minute
good.
as I invite the other person
Yes.
on. Good night to
Mm-hmm.
you. Welcome to this the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. How are you?
Yes, Mr. Matthews, good evening. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well,
Good evening to all the viewers and listeners.
well, it's
Yes.
grassroots night tonight, and then we have a Miss Betsy Freeze on our station here, talking about this same grassroots level, and the topic that we have chosen to talk upon at this time was pertaining to the interference of our economic progress by the U.S. Chambers of Commerce, who in our business level of economy cannot show how they have acquired such wealth. So let her finish off her piece, and then I can have you add in a few things, and we can have the conversation going. Right? Go on, Miss Betsy.
Yes.
Thank you,
As we listen.
Gavin. Thank you. And welcome to your second guest.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
hit the nail on the head. Yes, he is saying that because the business or the business community in Guyana cannot show where they acquired those hundreds of millions of dollars. These guys don't produce, they don't manufacture, they don't do anything in Guyana, but they have hundreds of millions of dollars. I
And not
understand that.
and not
I
only that,
totally agree, understand that,
but
right?
not only
And
that,
they don't pay taxes on it. There's no
not
taxes
only
on it.
that,
No
the vice
taxes.
president is trying to say that the $900 million contract, sorry,
Uh,
the $900 million availability of expansion of the oil pipelines, so that's the
yeah.
word, may have to rise because there is competition.
Mm,
He telling me that there is competition because there got people out there who trying to raise it. So they're
mm,
trying to see if these two conglomerates that's trying to
mm,
hold on to $900 million, which they don't even got one third of it, even if they
mm.
got it, they can't show it because they can't show how they accumulated it. They're not
Exactly.
external businessmen, they are
Right.
internal. And the
Yes.
three main families that are external to Guyana, I'm talking about the wealthy ones, can't
Yeah.
even come up to 100 million US dollars. So I don't know where they're getting this money from to show. Go ahead.
That's the point. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. But the only problem with that is, okay,
Uh-huh.
you may not have businesses that can show where they accumulate their wealth from, right?
Mhm.
But we have Guyanese that can do the service work. Even if you want to say they're not trained, if you're not trained, make sure that your Guyanese are hired and they are trained. Don't tell me you have to import people to work on the rig.
Okay, let's give our friend a few minutes so he can
Yes,
cut in on this
yes, yes.
conversation because I
Yeah.
think he has a bad signal. But go ahead, sir.
Yes, again, Gavin, I know your topic is you said the topic is economics and American
No,
Chambers of
it's
Commerce.
it's not it's just a wide range. We allow you and the other person who's
Okay,
coming in
good.
as guests
Good.
to set
Gotcha.
the conversation. It's
Good.
grassroots. Go ahead.
Okay, gotcha. Now, I just want to, because you mentioned University of West Indies, and they're making the Guyana political impasse one of their academic curriculum studies.
Mhm.
I am happy that that's the case.
Okay.
I am enthusiastic that that's the case, because if we listen to Facebook, we have been complaining and we've been asking that somebody takes up this matter.
Uh-huh.
So I am glad that Professor of Science, Political Sciences at the University of West Indies in Barbados, has written her report as the chief observer to the Guyanese elections 2020. I am glad she did that with a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And all that the report talks about, I am glad that they're having a discussion. Let me say something. When we look around the world, the way in which public policies are changed, the way in which public policies bubble up to become parliamentary bills or bills in Congress, they start from grassroots policy initiatives. When people on the grassroots have these discussions, and then these discussions bubble up into think tanks and then form a local narrative and then become a national narrative and then become law or drive law. So so what is happening here is to correct one of the correct ways in which national and global policy initiatives and movements become movements.
Yes.
This is why, and I'm glad it's happening in the University of West Indies. It's a blessing. We should not allow politicians of either party to try to confuse this specific discussion coming out of UE. We should not allow politicians in Guyana to confuse the issues or our focus on this report by Cynthia Burrow-Giles. It is most important, and this is why I am encouraging us on other talk shows like Rickford Burke, who is a lawyer, and Mark Bedstrap, who says he's studying law, and persons like yourself. This is the first constitutional show of any kind in Guyana, the Gavin Matthews show. This is the bread and butter show of constitutionality in Guyana, the Gavin
That's
Matthews
right.
show. There's another show in the UK. What's his name? Mr. Brown. All of us should have the discussion whenever we see it possible. But the time is now.
Yes.
Okay? Before my time runs out, I want to touch on another issue that you guys have in the palm of your hands, and I want to relate again with Mr. Rickford Burke, if he's listening, or those that have his ears. Mr. Rickford Burke is having a movement. He has a movement going, CGID. And CGID is piggybacking and feeding off of the momentum of the Gavin Matthews shows and all the other shows that come online. Because we on Facebook are the catalysts. We are the driving force behind all the movements as it pertains to Guyana. These talk shows. We are the gasoline that give energy to the movement. So, Mr. Rickford Burke, I love what you're doing. We love what you're doing. Gavin Matthews, we love what you're doing. Mark Bedstrap, continue doing what you're doing. Here's what I'm saying. If Mark Bedstrap has got 4,000 persons, Gavin Matthews has got 4,000. Mr. Rickford Burke, he might have 50,000. You know, he normally got the big numbers, right? So good. And we put all of those numbers together. On an average night, we have at least how many people listening? At least about, let's say,
60,000.
ballpark, 50, 60,000. But let's drop it in half. Let's say 30,000. 30,000 people. We can sign up on each show to have our own political movement.
Yes,
Our own political movement.
that's
We don't
right.
need permission from Granger. We don't need permission from Harmon. Okay? Our
That's
hands
right.
are on top. We're not handicapped.
Okay.
I want to make this point. We should stop this dependency
Yes.
relationship with our politicians.
Yes,
Okay?
Okay.
yes,
It's like we are looking to politicians like a little baby looks at his mother's breast.
yes,
Every time it needs milk, it reaches for its mother's breast. We gotta stop that.
yes,
Because in a democracy, power doesn't come from the politician. Power
Comes
comes
from
that's right.
people.
From the
individual
people.
Yeah.
who casts his votes. So we got news flash for politicians who are reluctant and non-responsive. That relationship that we had, that dependency relationship that we had, past tense, is over.
Mhm.
We are now embarking upon a new conceptualization that
Yep.
we are the shareholders.
Yes.
That's
We are the
And we must
shareholders.
demand that.
We are the stakeholders too.
facade.
Yeah.
We are the stakeholders,
We are.
first and foremost. So, being that we're the stakeholders, we need to drive that home. That we don't got to come to borrow no money from you. We are the money.
Mhm.
We don't got to come and get no authority from you, Mr. Harmon.
Mhm.
You, Mr. Rich, because we put you in to represent our
Us.
votes.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes.
Okay?
Of
So what we're
course.
saying now is that we have the votes, we have the power, we have the people power. Not Granger,
Yep.
not Harmon. So
Yep.
Royce Ford and Harmon and Granger and Jack Dale and Nandalal, they could continue pretending by themselves. Let me see if the six of them could come together and elect themselves.
Mm.
They can't
So
because they
let's
need the
serve
people to
them
go there.
notice.
Mhm.
So let's serve them notice. Harmon, who is undecided, indecisive, and not sufficient. We size them up, say, hey, guess what? We linking up with Rickford Bork, and Rickford Bork linking up with us on the Facebook movement. And we got at least between 30,000 to 60,000. And with that 60,000, we could get our family, if the 60,000 people convince one family member, that's 120,000 people. Right? That's 120,000 people.
Okay.
Right?
I understand.
So that's at least 25 seats in Parliament, isn't it? Roughly about. I don't know what the numbers are. But what I'm saying is that we need to be able to stop. We need to stop begging Harmon, begging Granger, begging Ali, begging Roysdale Ford. We need to stop that. That's what you call a dependency relationship.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
we have to stop this arrested development as though we are in what you call political purgatory.
Hmm.
We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going to heaven, and we ain't going to hell, but we in between. We can call it political inertia, like the moon.
Mhm.
The moon ain't going no close to the sun, it ain't coming no close to the earth. It's stuck in what we call political inertia.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We in political. So what I want to say is that how can we begin to organize on these shows?
right. So
Let's
this,
take it. Let's upgrade. Can
of
we
course,
upgrade?
by
You
creating
know, Gavin,
this the grassroots talk, because I don't want to invite, as to my guest here, Miss Betsy, I don't want to invite the fully learned who's not making sense to us, the smaller man. I want to invite the smaller man, the man on the street, to let me hear his or her displeasure in the actions in our political representatives, and let everybody hear so we can be part of a conversation, a movement. Right, Miss Betsy? Because I want to hear
That's
you
right. Yes,
mention something
yes.
you're
Uh,
talking about.
of course, the gentleman is spot on, Gavin.
Yeah.
I just want to make a correction there.
He's
Your
listening.
Yes, your at present moment, the last time I checked, your viewership is over 75,000 people. That's my last check on your viewership. He's right. We have to stop being dependent on the stupid politicians because they will not tell you that you don't have clothes on. We depend on them for everything.
And we need to
We
stop
could
doing
have
that.
had situations in Guyana, the minute the elections, people, the minute those elections results, 3 times, 3 different declarations of the same thing. If we had the power, or if we had used the power that we had, I said, the time that the decision did not go the way the people voted, we should have put a stop right there. Right there. Because
Yes.
the politicians want you to be in this denial, stupid state, like Mr. Jagdio giving sugar workers, the dead entity, $250,000 bonus. Teachers who teaching the nation, ZERO, and other public servants. They want, imagine they're giving, or they're trying to fill an empty hole because nobody wants sugar around the world, but he is so embarrassed, ashamed and lied to tell the sugar workers, you got to eat the sugar yourself. He's bribing them. So for them to remain in the same position until they die. The children come up in the same position until they die. He's not the man enough to tell them that. That's how politicians use you. A Guyanese have to understand that.
Let me ask this question.
Yeah, go ahead. Let us hear the question from our honorable gentleman. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think what the madam is saying is totally correct. Please excuse me, but my signal might get haywire soon. So I want to ask. I want to try to cook the dish, so to speak. I know that Mr. Rickford Bork has been coming on this show in terms of linking up, especially with the rallies all around the United States. This is the show that promotes the rallies that Rickford Bork and the CGID promotes. So I want to reach out to Mr. Rickford Bork and take it a step further based upon the platform that he's been pushing. I want to say, let's start a political movement in terms of a entity that can vote. Otherwise than that, we're not talking nothing. We're bluffing here. Okay? Let's talk about how we can galvanize this energy on Facebook. 75,000
Ga-
here, 50,000 there,
Gavin,
20,000 there. Goodness, that's damn there.
I'm,
100,000 people.
Gavin,
How can we?
I
Gavin,
know my two guests. I know my two guests are fired up, but hear what? Let me invite you to this. We can do that vote on the Gavin Matthews show. There's what you call a referendum. It's a
Gavin,
vote by the
this,
public. Whether you're overseas or you're in Guyana, as long as you're Guyanese, you
Gavin,
registering. Go
can
ahead.
I
Sorry.
say something? I am so sorry. Can I say something?
Okay, let's do one at a time. Let's invite Betsy to say something. Go ahead, Betsy.
Okay. The honorable guest, I love what you're saying. For me, right? That's my thing. We should not have any other institution being drafted in the political system in Guyana. As you rightfully have, Gavin, a referendum. We need a whole new revamping of our political system in Guyana. It's not going to work. First of all, the constitutional changes that they want to change, the main thing that has to get rid of is that executive power. You hear me? You see the genocide of those 1,400 black men has to be taken care of. We have to get rid of the executive power of any president in Guyana. That has to go and not be part of any political system in Guyana. That has to go. Corruption from the politicians down to the judges. They have to be prosecuted. We don't want no political system added in Guyana. Absolutely not. We have to take care of the crap that's out there right now. Don't tell me about adding stuff because we only marking up everything. We don't want a marking up. We want to deal with what we have there. We have to revamp it. First of all, nobody should be running for vice president who is wanted by the International Criminal Court of Justice. No party, the APNU should not run elections in Guyana with somebody as the opponent wanted by the International Criminal Court of Justice. Absolutely not. Nonsense. Nonsense. How are you going to fix that? How are we going to fix that? That has to be taken care of. It has to be.
Okay.
Don't tell
it's a healthy conversation.
I really appreciate Gavin, but we cannot. That has to be taken care of because it will have what we have now. How many dead? How many dead now?
I love where it's going. Let's hear my friend Coffee respond. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. Now let me ask. Could you help me to understand exactly what Madam is saying?
Okay. She was referring to the ICC investigation into Mr. Barjagdio and the human rights violation, and crimes against humanity. That report was submitted. I think it was soon as he left office by the Human Rights Association, which is now closed down, the Guyana Human Rights. And because of that same particular instance, and they don't want a furtherance of it, but the invitation was invited to him to appear to answer to these charges. And now
what is the lady saying? So basically, what is she asking?
What is she saying is that we should not, the APNU AFC, should not even think in the first place to be challenging an election with that man on board, who is not only a constitutional criminal, right, but he's right. He has to answer questions for 1,480 black people that died and counting. He has to answer these questions, right?
We could sum all that up by saying something must be done about the 1,480.
And also the executive power of the president. I'm not saying that the president mustn't have executive power, but he must not have complete Especially, he must not be the employer of the Commission of Police.
Good. Gotcha.
You understand? That's one of them. Go ahead, though.
Okay, I understand now. I just wanted to understand what she was saying because she seems to be saying something important, but I wasn't getting the clarity. I wasn't hearing her properly.
Okay.
So now that I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now let me say this. All of the things that the madam is mentioning will be done subsequently when we take power. What we are talking about is a political party that takes power, that competes with the APNUAFC, because the APNUAFC has been wasting our time. So whenever it is, if we get to that point, or before that, we raise another political force that challenges the AFC and challenges the PPP, both. And the best man win. But I'm saying that the amount of people who we have who are dissatisfied on Facebook, we should have at least 200,000 people to challenge the PPP sufficiently and the AFC and the AP and the AFC coalition. Two different things. The reasons for which we challenge the PPP are not the same reasons for which we're challenging the AFC, AP, and U coalition. We have different objectives.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, what the new movement will enable us to do is compete for political power and authority. So all the subsequent things that Madam are talking about, all of them, will be changed. Absolutely. Without a doubt.
But here was the thing. Here was the thing I'm looking at. Our Constitution does not provide for an adjournment of political powers after the election.
Exactly.
It provides, hold on, just allow me to speak, because remember now I'm trying to understand both of you. But I'm looking at it now via Constitution. Our Constitution provides for an adjournment of political powers before the election. Sorry, for parties to join together. And they have to register under one body. But here was the trick of the trade. If you remember last election, when there was an outside combination of small political parties who said to the Ghana Elections Commission, here, we are contesting the elections by ourselves, but after the elections, if we can sum our votes up to attain one seat in Parliament, we're looking for that. And that nobody contested, because I said that's how Mr. Schuman become part of that combined opposition. And I'm studying since when the Constitution allowed that.
It's a big deal.
Let's not find our ways. Respectfully, I submit respectfully. Let's start a party with the movement we have. We can worry about all those technical issues before, after. They don't matter. All we need is the entity, a political entity, to contest. Either we contest individually as independents, or we contest after collectively. It doesn't matter. Just let's have a vote.
Okay.
Get our foot in the door. Then we talk about all these technical matters later. That's what I'm saying. So
you're saying if as I understand you, if Miss Betsy to Miss Amy Adder, as I understand you, is that if we put a foot in the door, we can also make changes to that constitution.
Absolutely.
Gavin?
We have a voice.
Well, let me hear Miss Betsy point on this. Go ahead, Betsy.
Gavin, I have no objections to the point that making changes. But as you
Okay.
rightfully said, these changes has to be done before. Changes has to be done before. First of all, as I said, whenever there should be elections, whenever there should be elections, there should be no election being contested with anybody that has a criminal record. Caretaker government take care of business. No elections should be contested with people at the head of parties that are criminals. You will not. This is the thing. Would you put a criminal? Would you put a criminal to watch your house?
Well,
Would you
you
do
see
that?
what's going on right now. The criminal are inviting other criminals to come to tell us how to live.
And this is the point. This is the point. How can you have decency? Decency with a government, regardless of how you push it, you turn it, you swing it around. A leader of a country at this present moment, and there are extrajudicial killings, whether it is people that look like him or does not look like him. He is the leader. He is above the commissioner of police. If he wants the killing to stop, he just has to pick up a mic and give a press conference. He says nothing. Where does that order comes from? The boss. It's the boss.
I want to add another topic to this conversation. If you're there with me, Coffee, and I would like both of you to expound upon it.
Yes.
Mr. Barajagdio brought some people from Ghana. I have did extensive research on that country. And I'm saying to all those who are looking, yes, Ghana is a filthy, rich country. But its people are very poor. And I'm saying you brought this minister all the way from Ghana to come here to tell us how we can come together to construct a proper contract when he himself can't do it for his own country, and they're bringing them here. And it leaves me to wonder, how can we sit down and accept this kind of a behavior? They don't install. They're bringing people like themselves. There's nothing there's nothing good that comes out to these people. And they can't do nothing. They're broke. This is a broke government. We got a private citizen who paying public servants, and I don't care who say what. Government will start the facts because Mr. Mohammed is paying public servants right now.
Okay.
Gavin?
You understand?
The Ghanaians.
No,
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. Seriously, everybody's keep, and you know what freaks me out? Nothing cannot tell me that the opposition that controls the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee, for them, these criminals to come before and give and give how should I put it over? Give an audit on how they spent the public's money. They're running plus the PSP running, and nobody can bring them together. And suddenly, the speaker give them some kind of momentum or ultimatum that they got to meet and discuss the spending of public money out of the what is the fund name? I'm so annoyed. I'm so pissed off. Oh brother, the guy is fund that has got all this money and they can spend willy nilly, and it's only accountable to the PAC. Yes, go ahead.
You raise a very good point about the Ghanaians. You know, according to the former finance minister, it was the Ghanaians who helped negotiate a lot of the negotiations and the framework that the coalition was using that we're currently under now. A lot of the framework that the oil is based on in Guyana now under the coalition was orchestrated by the Ghanaians. I heard him speak about it, I think it was yesterday or today on the Buxton Morning Time show, according to the finance minister, Winston Jordan. So that's probably a reason why the Ghanaians were brought back here to pick up from where they left off. That's a point to consider. We should do some more background checks on that. Secondly,
no, hold on, wait. Hold on, wait. You telling me they were here already before?
According to Mr. Finance Minister Winston Jordan on Buxton Morning Show, yes. Under the Great Administration, they orchestrated almost the entire framework based upon the Great Administration was using. So we should I think it was yesterday's Buxton Morning Show. I think it was yesterday.
That was I didn't listen to that, but that was something that I never have a knowledge of. I don't think it was that information was in the public domain. Maybe I have to do some research on that.
Now I'm giving you research information. You can check yesterday's show for Buxton Morning Time show with Mr. Winston Jordan. Mr. Winston Jordan spoke about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
So it was Thursday morning show. Thursday, that was yesterday, for the Buxton Morning Time show. Mr. Winston Jordan said that. Now, so if I'm coaching the former finance minister. He's the best person to know. Because he went on further to say, maybe that's why Jack Deal them now going and get the same people who make the deal to undo the deal.
So now we're talking business now. No, it is a fact. Hold on, wait. I didn't read the one at all. But it is a fact that both parties would have met when they were in Ghana to approach the African Union. Because you see, the feather don't fall too far from the tree.
Gavin?
Go ahead.
That's why Harmon went there and had a Jack Deal.
Of course.
I don't know.
So that means I was right. Because the information came to me, said that these two people meeting up just to approach the African Union as a government.
Gavin?
Now, so you see that, right? So that's something interesting.
Oh
right?
my God! I tell you what.
We can dissect this later. Now, another point I want to make about Ghana. Majority of the enslaved Africans who were enslaved in Guyana are from Ghana. Okay? Our cousins. Direct descendants. We are direct descendants from Ghana. Many of us in that. By the thousands.
I am not. I might be one of them. I might be one of them because my history is not. I'm adopted, as I normally said on the show. So my biological father directly is from Africa, but he came all the way from what is now South Sudan. But go ahead.
Yeah, Gavin. I respectfully say it's not about you as an individual. It's about us. Right? So we talk about we collectively in Guyana.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? We collectively. Right? Good. So now, we collectively, majority of us, by the thousands, the historical records and the archives and the auctions show that our grandparents are Ghanaians, not of us. By the thousands. Okay? And that is why when you talk about going back to the gates to hell, when we left the gates of West Africa, a lot of us came off from Ghana. Okay? When we visit those places that sold a lot of slaves. Okay, good. That's why they always go back to Ghana, a lot of them. Okay? So that's a little bit of evidence to support that.
Gavin, may I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Betsy. Betsy want to say something. Go ahead.
I thank you so much. I actually missed a few of your discussion regarding Mr.
Yes,
Jagier
because you
went
got
to
cut off and you come back in. Yeah.
correct. Yeah, he went to Ghana to bring
Ghana.
somebody to tell us how what this is the respect you got for us. It's not that you bring somebody that is respectful or somebody is no, and not respectful. Somebody is that is successful. A country that has oil and is successful. This is the respect you have for us. Where is Ghana? It's in Africa. What economic position Ghana is in due to the corrupt government that they have. Mr. Harman too. Why did you go there? To do what? Why did you bring him here to Guyana to tell us what? To tell us how you can share the wealth among the 1%,
But
and the countries are still living in squalor?
what Coffee said just now, Betsy, is that
She's missing something.
what Coffee said just now, Betsy, is that in the Granger government, and I don't know about this, I'm now being educated about it, is that they invited the Ghanaians to secure a work plan, the administration plan of how to get this oil economy moving. What I am saying is that the history of the Ghanaians in handling the oil economy of their country is so poor that I don't see how we can benefit from their knowledge. And we have, hold on, but and Mr. Coffee, if I'm wrong this time, and we have Trinidad is right next door that we can take some examples from. You understand what I mean? Because
this is laughable. This is laughable.
So I'm trying to figure it out. So the conversation is healthy. So let's keep it up, and we can take another 5 minutes of it. So
let me say this here. We must keep in mind what we say. Keep in mind that it was the Granger administration, according to the finance minister on the Buxton Morning Time show, Mr. Jordan said that the Ghanaians were the architects of the entire negotiations and the paperwork in the dealings.
But here was the problem.
It was the Granger administration that brought the Ghanaians here in the first place to do the oil negotiations and the paperwork.
Here the thing.
But here was the problem with media Coffee. How can you sit down to craft a architectural contract that from beginning it's scratch at 2.5% royalty? It's like me trying to take my brain out so I can scratch it and put it back in because, come on. Seriously. Even Venezuela never accept 2%. Venezuela accepted 15%. And look at the state of the country right now. 15% royalty from Exxon. And look at the state of the country right now. We're accepting 2.5. During the Granger government, under the Jagier government is 1.5.
Listen.
As a matter of fact, we're still getting nothing.
Hey, well, Gavin, this is the point. This is the point I'm saying. The leaders have no vision. They have no vision.
Here was the problem, Coffee and Betsy. Not only that, but I'm saying even if the sovereign wealth fund keeps away our money from us, like we barely put it there because you know why? What's gonna be corruption Wild West? I might have been dead by now.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The political system has to change.
It's wondering where do we find a starting point? Because I like my show to be a show of solutions and not adding more to the problem. You understand?
No.
Where do we find a starting point?
This is why I suggested that we move away from the PPP, that
Yes.
we move away from the coalition and start another political entity that can effectively and comprehensively address our issues on the table. Solution number one. And I don't know, but I am offering a solution, and I don't hear anyone responding to the solutions. I'm hearing about police commissioner, I'm hearing about courts, I'm hearing about other subsequent matters. Those matters are important. Respectfully, I submit they are important. But don't we think the most important matter here
Okay.
is to get the power by way of the vote?
So
And when we garner the vote, when we get the power, then we could change the commissioner. Then we could change all the vice presidents and all the other issues that are bothering us.
Yeah.
Then we could change that because we have the vote.
Okay.
We have to say so.
I understand
We have
that.
the voice.
I understand that, Coffee and Betsy. But here what I'm going to invite both of you to do now. Coffee, please take 2 minutes in your closing. Miss Betsy, please take 2 minutes in your closing, and then I'm going to finish it off, and we all leave because we're already out of time. You understand? So I want to invite
Good.
both of you to have a 2 minute each in your closing. So Coffee, can you go first so we can understand exactly after this conversation, where do we go? So invite your same comments that you did just now in your solutions, sorry, in your comments so we can have an understanding where your mind is. Go ahead.
Good, got you. Now, I would like to be cautious. Can the lady go before the man?
Okay, no problem. You want to go first, Betsy?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
go
you
ahead.
so much.
Go ahead.
Wonderful discussion, Gavin. You really took it up. You took it up another order, and I will always continue to praise you in the sense of you are a perfect example of what a man should be: a representative of his family, a patriotic citizen. Wonderful job. Guyanese need to get off their butts. Think constructively. You have the power in your hands. You're afraid to go out and protest? Okay, that's fine. Hold your dollar. No money, no revenue. If you just continue to do and go along with your life as normal, you think things gonna change? It's just going to get worse. Bring them to the table, both parties. Show them that you got the power in your hands. You elect them. They are your caretakers, not the other way around. You got the power. And make it happen. Wonderful show, Gavin. Keep up your good work.
Thank you very
And
much,
we need
Betsy.
to have
Thank
more discussions like this.
Yes, I'm going to do it every Friday. It
That's
was a
right.
good thought, and
Yes.
I've invited you both, and I'm happy that you did come on so we can have this healthy conversation. So
Thank you so
don't leave
much.
us yet. Let us hear Mr.
Yes.
Coffee's conclusion. Go ahead, Coffee.
Yes, I like to say I enjoyed the interaction with Madam Betsy. I've heard her voice several times. I think she's doing an excellent job, and we need more people like her with that kind of vigor. Gavin, doing a wonderful show.
Thank you, sir.
People in the diaspora, I want to send two messages to you, 2 points. Firstly, that we must encourage other talk show hosts to have the discussion that analyzes the report of Professor Cynthia Morrow Giles' report, which she forwarded to the CARICOM. Because she said the CARICOM fundamentally she says GCOM fundamentally is a political party. It's a biased, one-sided party. It only deals with the PPP and the PNC, and everybody else is excluded. So that's not necessarily fair or equal access, because a lot of parties are left out. Right? My second point, I want to send this out to Mr. Rickford Wood in particular. Sir, I would like for us to work together to take your premise of meaningful opposition to the next level. In that, meaning that we now need to graduate from being a movement to a movement with a political action, meaning a political party, a movement that becomes a political entity that has the power to leverage at least 200,000 people who are talking every night on Facebook diaspora, the diaspora, and now use that vote to make changes. So anybody who's hearing, send this message out to Mr. Rickford and tell him that we are ready to take it from the next level to becoming a movement which is a political entity that can challenge the PPP specifically. If the coalition wants to join on to the movement, they are welcome too. But we are no longer depending upon the coalition to do for us that which we could do
for ourselves.
We are moving forward to create our own vote. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Well, I want to say thank you very much to both of you, Betsy and Coffee. It's been a night of discussion and education, because there are things that were said that I didn't even know about because I didn't follow it up. And very much appreciated. I've learned something tonight. And
wonderful show.
Yes, and we can, and the invitation is always open. I would like to, can have you both again. I need to have more space for more persons to come on, so we can invite those who are interested in having this conversation.
Wonderful show.
So I appreciate you both tonight.
Make sure you check out Buxton Morning Time Show.
Yes, I would.
Thursday with Minister Winston Jordan.
Yes, I would. And I want to say thank you very much, both of you. I want to say to you, stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. And to those who are listening in the diaspora, the referendum is still open for your vote, and I need your vote. I also need your financial contribution also to make this possible. And as the other thing I opened it up for a year, so when I bought it, it's for 1 year instead of for a month. So we still have time to vote, so we can have this referendum going. And the referendum is to challenge the office of the Chancellor of the Judiciary to represent the will of people. I don't want any lawyers. I want the Chancellor to do that, because that's her duty. The Constitution says that is what she has to do. She's guided by the Constitution in that form. So I want to thank you very much. Once again, stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask, and don't forget the ones you take in the public places. This is Dr. Matthews saying good night, Cheerios for now.
Wonderful night. Good night.
Good night.